So, I see a consistent theme of connectedness and building friendships and service opportunities, and they're very consistent with what we have. And it's really important that when you're planning your events out, when you're meeting as officers, that you're using some of these concepts that we thought of and talked about today during your meetings, because they're really important getting the buy-in from your members and your officers. I'm having some technical difficulty. Oh, now I can see the chat. So I see a lot of folks agreeing with. Okay, so lots of great things to help folks have a great Halloween. I love that. Talking about Trick or Treat for UNICEF, my governor's project. Lots of great things: connectedness, guidance, socialization, quarantines making it easier to meet people. So a lot of great responses. And in the interest of time, we've got to move on, but keep some. So let's get on to the next item. Okay, so I want to talk about officer meetings, because the most important part of Key Club is the officers, because they're the ones that are coordinating what your club is doing. And you guys might be wondering, Key Club's virtual. What can we do to continue as officers, to continue our motivation to talk and meet and do things? So I want to make it easier on you all and give you guys some things that you all can discuss as officers. So the first thing is, take a look at the calendar, see what you can do each month. Make a tentative schedule for what your club can accomplish within the various months. And this takes me to the next point in talking about service and fundraising ideas. This is where you can implement a lot of great things in each month to give folks something to look forward to. For example, now it's Trick or Treat for UNICEF. Please participate in that. It goes into a wonderful cause, and it's easy for you to participate. Use their virtual collection boxes. The next thing is club budgets. I'm sure that with the cancellation of Decon and Icon for your districts, you have some money left over. See where you can allocate that money for various service projects or community initiatives. The next thing is, the most important thing is, promotion throughout the school. How can you recruit your members? What can you do? What avenues are there for you to build a stronger membership? The next thing is, aside from recruitment, there's retention. How can you get the past members to come back? But also, how can you get current members to join and stay engaged and involved? And the last point, my favorite, connecting with Kiwanians and the community. Find ways that you can integrate Kiwanians and community members into your meetings, whether it be through guest speakers or having them talk about leadership lessons and their experience in the professional world. And just an overall comment to take a look at all these items, it's really important that you form a strong team with your officers, because at the end of the day, a strong team will get work done and you'll be able to accomplish your goals. So now let's move on to the next level and talk about the club meetings, because once you get those officer meetings settled, then you can do your club meetings. So I want to talk about that overall message on the bottom. Make sure you're diversifying the types of meetings you have, because you need to keep your members continually engaged and on their feet. When there's diversity in the types of meetings you have, they're more likely to come back. And I want to talk about some types of meetings that you all can utilize, especially for this fall time. Interest meetings. Use those meetings not as informational meetings, but meetings that will grab the attention of your key clubbers. Tell them why they should join. Tell them what are the benefits, what are the values that we uphold. Get their buy-in. It's the first impression you make, and you got to make it the best impression. The next thing is parent meetings. This is a great way to get the buy-in of the parents, because you'll see at times that when you have the parents buy-in, they're going to encourage their children to come to your club meetings. And that is a great way to get folks to come. Next one is service projects. You can always do a service project. Some clubs have been making masks. Some clubs have been writing letters. Do some service, because folks still need hours and folks still need to contribute to the community. The next thing is informational meetings. That's where you give folks updates. That's where you talk about various service projects and your plans for the month. And the next one, keynote speakers. Now more than ever, it is so much easier to get keynote speakers to come. For example, you could get Oprah, you could get Senator Bill Nelson, as we saw earlier. Lots of great things. And with these meetings, there's some topics that you can sprinkle in with these meetings type to talk about. to diversify your agenda. There's service. You can do service. You can talk about service. Next one, Qantas family. Get your Qantas advisors to attend your meetings, because I'm sure that they will be more than delighted to talk to your key clubbers, because at the end of the day, Kiwanians, their goal is to help and serve children. The next thing is division. Get your division involved. I'm sure that your lieutenant governor will be ecstatic to be at your meeting. Leadership, find ways that you can involve your members through leadership roles. And we're going to talk more about that in the next slide. And lastly, club goals. If you can involve your members in the creation of these goals, they're more likely to be involved and engaged, and they have a part and a say in your club. So let's go on to the next slide. And I want to briefly overview some of these points in the Southwest Virtual Meeting Guidebook. The first thing is, let's talk about the purpose. When you can give your members a clear purpose as to why they should come to your meetings and why should they be a member, it provides a strong foundation for them coming back, essentially retention. The first thing is it's great on resumes and it looks great on college applications. It shows that you're involved with the community. The next thing is there are opportunities beyond the club. As you can see, Joey and I, we serve on a district level. We're making impacts in a regional level, at a state level, at a national level, and international level, might I say. And the next thing is networking. It's a great opportunity to make friends, but also to network and build stronger connections with community leaders. And, you know, on the plank of networking, it takes me onto communication. Let's take a look at some communication platforms that you all can utilize to better strengthen connections with your club members. So the first thing is Remind, there's Band, there's Slack, and there's Classroom. You know, when you have a strong sense of communication and strong ties with your members, they're more likely to be more they'll participate more, essentially, because they have the updates, they have the resources, and they have the knowledge as to what's going on in your club. And when you set the platform for that, then you could go on to engagement. How do you keep your club members engaged and continually coming back? And the first point is let folks participate. And I'm going to talk about this in the next slide. But the first thing is, I know that some of y'all might not be comfortable with it, but turn your cameras on, because you can see when folks are laughing. You get live reactions of what's going on. The next thing is be engaging. Nobody wants to listen to a monotone speech for 40 minutes. Put some fun things in there. Put some games. Change your tone up. Add diversity in the way you speak. And the next thing is incentives. Next slide. So I want to go on to participation a bit. Social and bonding events. Make sure you have fun with it. Make sure you have fun with Key Club. Ensure that you guys are doing fun games, icebreakers at your meetings, because who doesn't love to have fun? Next thing is highlight members. Who doesn't love a good highlight and a good highlight of fame? I use a lot of highlights in that row. Next one, committees. If you can involve your members in serving in committees, through leading small service projects or large service projects, it gives them something to look forward to, because now it's not a one-way communication street. It's a multi-avenue way for you to communicate and to get them involved. And the next thing is conversation. Talk about what's happening in the world, or talk about trends. You know, what are you seeing on social media? You don't always have to talk about Key Club Shop. So let's go on to the next slide. And recruitment and promotion. It's really important that you folks take a look at reaching out to your teachers in middle schools and seeing if you can get your feeder school folks to become Key Clubbers, and reaching out to teachers to see who are stellar students and why should they join Key Club. The next thing is incentives. One of my favorite things about Key Club is the memories you form. Those are one of the best things. It's made my high school wonderful. The next thing is senior merchandise. If you can walk down that graduation with that golden Key Club stole, join Key Club. Next thing is award systems. A lot of clubs are implementing this, whether it be through receiving hours or it be through points for doing various activities. It's a great way to incentivize your members and to keep them participating. All righty. So we'll talk more about how to access some of these resources at the end, but this takes me to service projects. Joey, why don't you take it away?
Okay. Aside from doing club and officer meetings, which is more so the leadership aspect of Key Club, obviously we are a service and leadership organization, so service projects are super important. One thing that I do definitely want to emphasize is that now more than ever, there are communities out there that are relying on Key Club to do the work we do. Oftentimes we forget how large our organization is and how much impact we actually make through our service. And that doesn't need to stop just because we are in the face of a global pandemic. There are so many ways that you can do service virtually, in person, but social distance. And we'll be going over that right now. Okay. So one really cute service project idea that your club can try and do is doing book recordings. So this is probably one of my favorite service projects that I've seen come out of this pandemic. Essentially involves a Key Clubber reading a children's book and recording themselves, talking about it and inflecting on the different texts that's in the book, and distributing those recordings to local elementary schools and for children to help them still stay educated, still stay engaged during this really lonely time. And one of the best things about this specific project is, aside from reading your children's novel, you can also envelop those aspects of leadership within your reading. So after you read a children's book, you can talk about how this novel, how Dazzle the dinosaur teaches you how to be a better leader. So always envelop those leadership lessons into there. And yeah, that's one way you can do service. Another service project that your club can get involved in is creating goodie bags. So on this slide, we talk about, making goodie bags full of fun knickknacks, books, games, and toys for children. But honestly, this service project is super, you can change it up a lot, especially with like COVID-19. A lot of people don't have access to proper sanitation, to masks, and you can create goodie bags and resources for them and donate them to not just children, but maybe to local homeless shelters. Definitely you can adapt these service projects to fit what is most needed in your community. But this one in particular, if you want to make it full of fun knickknacks and books, it's a great way to engage those younger students during this time. Moving on to service projects that are strictly virtual based. So they're great to do if you want to have like an online meeting, a Zoom meeting, and just work on these service projects that you can do through websites. The first one, which is a very popular one, is called Free Rice. And it is essentially an app where you can answer trivia questions. And for every question you get right, a few grains of rice are donated to the United Nations World Food Program. And it's super, super fun. I think the best thing about Free Rice is that you can create groups within the app where you can have your Key Clubbers enter a group code and join on. And you can even make it sort of a competition thing to see who can raise the most amount of rice for the World Food Program. So going back to what Eric was saying earlier about awards and incentives, maybe you can create an award for the person who raises the most amount of rice through Free Rice. So that's a really fun way you can get engaged in service. Another way is called Project Gutenberg, where you're essentially donating eligible materials, transcribing books into a digital form, and proofreading others' work. And I believe this goes to the Smithsonian Museum. I'm not 100% sure, but if you go on the website, that's the link that's on the screen, you're able to do those things and get service hours for doing them. And then lastly, this service project I actually find really, really cool. Be My Eyes is actually an app that connects you with blind and low vision individuals. And essentially it puts you on a video call where you help them be their eyes and you help them read their emails and just go through things and do service in that aspect. And those are just like a few service projects you can do during this time. Beyond those few that I just gave you, again, in the Key Club and Quarantine Guide, there is a whole bunch more. So yeah, but one last thing that you want to really think about with service projects is, of course, member involvement, which is a big emphasis we've put on throughout this whole presentation, but you want to be able to engage those members in your service projects. So one thing to think about is planning. When you're going into planning the service project, think about, would your members even want to do this project? And is it going to benefit the community? You never want to make your service project superficial. You want to make sure that there is a community out there that will benefit from the work that you're doing. And then going into the executing and doing portion, what resources will be needed? If you're creating the goodie bags, you need someone to help fundraise money for those toys that you're putting together or the masks. What will the budget be? And also, how can we involve our faculty and Kiwanis advisor? This is definitely a really, really important point, especially beyond service projects, but also with club meetings. Since you are a student, sometimes it's really confusing what's going on in your school. Being in contact with your faculty advisor will make sure that you are aware of the specific circumstances of your high school and what is actually allowed with doing service and with holding key clubs. So definitely reach out to them. And then after the service project, you want to make sure you think about, did the members learn something from the service project? And did the members actually enjoy the project? So after you get members involved, you want to think about, how can we retain them? How can we do more activities that will keep them engaged? Okay.
Pardon me, I didn't unmute myself. All right, so thank you, Joey, for that. Let's talk about bonding now. Key Club is definitely a service organization, but that doesn't mean we can't have fun. That doesn't mean we can't bond and socialize during all the events we do. So in the next few slides, I'm going to show you all some bonding activities that you can utilize in your meeting. So the first one I really want to emphasize on is something new that has really been catalyzed with the pandemic. It's a rotating buddy system. This is a great way for moderately sized and small sized clubs to get acquainted. Essentially, you're assigning pairs of folks and having them call at least once a week or a month. And to really help it out, assign topics for people to discuss. Joey and I were a product of the buddy system. We're great buddies because of it. And I encourage you all to consider it, because that really builds strong cohesion within your club. So now I want to talk about some general icebreakers. I'm sure you all have utilized this, but it's also a great refresher. So during your meetings, it's really important that you all are putting icebreakers within the agenda. Some of these include soulmate. This is where you ask a series of questions and you have folks that agree with one portion of the question, keep the camera on. And you do this until you get 2 folks that are left out and they're soulmates. The next thing is a scavenger hunt. Ask folks to run around their home and get something and show it on the camera. So if I said, get an iconic trick or treat for UNICEF box, show it. Next is this or that. This is where you could do jeans over khakis and those types of questions. It's a great way of forming fun and kind-hearted debates. And my favorite, the next one-worded story. This really shows you the sporadic creations that you all can make in your club. It could become a literary masterpiece, or it could become something that belongs in the recycling bin. And the next item I want to talk about, games and events. You could integrate these into your club meetings, but you could also use these for social nights and other events that you could utilize beyond club meetings. For example, Kahoot, you all are familiar with that. I'm a champion at Kahoot if you ever want to challenge me. Next up is bingo. Who doesn't love bingo? And I think the most popular thing in this list among us, who doesn't love a good game of yelling and playing detective? Next, we've got trivia. It's always nice to see who's got the smarts and who's got, and the next thing is movie nights. And we're going to talk more about how some of these can be construed in different manners that could benefit your club to a greater capacity. And this takes me to the next topic, which Joey will be leading.
That was such a beautiful transition, Eric.
Thank you.
The next topic we're going to be talking about is fundraising. So a lot of your service projects and fundraising projects, might have been halted due to the pandemic, but definitely do not worry. There are a lot of ways that you can fundraise online nowadays, and fundraising virtually can be a valuable option for your club. So we're going to be talking about different ways you can just do just that. So the first way you can fundraise online is actually a very popular way that I've been seeing going around during quarantine, during this pandemic, is fundraising bingos. So on the screen, we have 2 examples of one from the CNH district and one just from like a random walk. But basically how you can do this fundraiser is all you need to do is create a bingo card, and on each of the little slots you can put a money amount and post it on your social media, your Instagram story. And essentially the goal is to get people to cross out and fill out every single bingo space. And you want to make sure you're updating your followers, updating your Instagram account whenever someone donates, so they can see the progress of you filling out the bingo card. And if you want to spice up this fundraiser, you can also add some dares to it, which is what you can see in the Division 35 East bingo card. So that's a really fun way to do that. And like Eric was talking about earlier with bonding events, you can bring together both the aspect of bonding and fundraising together into one by holding virtual events. So this can include movie nights, trivia nights, phone-a-thons, just things like that, where you have like a money incentive towards it as well. So for someone to participate in the movie night, they have to like maybe pay, like donate $5 to Eliminate, or for them to enter the trivia night, they also have to like buy a ticket or something. And that way you're not only building stronger bonds between your club members, but you're also raising money for a specific cause. And I also want to take a moment to shout out my like Florida district, which actually at this moment on our Instagram, we're doing like a 12-hour telethon through our Instagram live to fundraise for Eliminate. And there's another great example of how you can fundraise online, but definitely get creative. There are, yes, thank you, Eric. There are so many ideas that are out there, and just take inspiration from what's already been done. Yeah, at FL Key Club. After the Global Engagement Rally, I better see y'all on there and donate for Eliminate. Okay. At the beginning of this presentation, when we went over the overview, one big thing that we also talked about is administration issues. We understand that some schools might be having the issue of, your administration is not allowing you to even meet with your Key Club virtually. So one way you can combat this issue is through Key Club letters of support. So this is something that actually me and the immediate past Kiwanis District Governor, Alan Yurkovich, did. We drafted 2 Key Club and Kiwanis letters of support to our statewide government, asking them to consider promoting Key Club and continuing Key Club during this time. And after this, I believe we have a QR code to these specific letters, but you can modify these letters and send them to your school administration, emphasizing why you need to continue Key Club in quarantine, and just reach out to them through the form of letter. So hopefully resolve some of those administration issues.
Okay, y'all, if there's something you got a screenshot today, this is definitely it. Take a screenshot of some of the QR codes we have. The first QR code is the Key Club in Quarantine Guide. This really touched on bonding and service. And the next one is the SWD, Southwest District Virtual Meeting Booklet. Take a screenshot of that. And what Joey just talked about now, letters of support. Please feel free to take screenshots. These are public files that you all can utilize, and the resources for y'all to utilize. And Joey, I believe you got.
Yeah. All 3 of these resources are just essentially in detailed expansions of like what we covered today. So again, if you missed something or you wanted more information about fundraising ideas or how to hold virtual meetings, these QR codes will lead you to detailed guides to teaching you how to do them. Keep in mind though, they are a little bit specific to like the Florida district and the Southwest district, because it's what we've created in our own respective regions, but they can definitely be modified to fit wherever you are across the world. So yeah.
All righty, y'all. Now for the best part
wait.
of this presentation. Yes,
There's
what's
a question
wrong?
saying, how do we scan them?
Oh.
I was supposed to cover it, Eric. Basically, if you have, I don't know if this works for Androids, I'm pretty sure it does. Whether you have Android or iPhone, you open up your camera and you hover over the QR code, and it should pop up a link. Or you can just search up like QR code scanner on your phone, and if you hover over the picture, the QR code, you should be able to access the link. So if you can't figure that out right now, don't worry, just screenshot your page or take a picture of it and just come back to it later. Yeah.
Yes. To answer one question, I don't know if the slide set will be posted. Feel free to take a screenshot. This is public property. All righty. So let's go on to the next. This is the best part of the show, I bet. The Q&A panel. Please type your questions in the chat, and we would love to answer them. So let's start. Okay. So the first question I'm seeing is there any way to get in contact with others? Joey, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that in terms of interclub planning?
Question. I can totally answer that question. So
Okay.
in terms of developing inter-club relations, that definitely falls upon your lieutenant governor, the lieutenant governor that oversees your area. If you want to form relations with other clubs in your area, reach out to your lieutenant governor. They have contacts to every single officer that is in your school district, and you'll be able to get in contact with those clubs and develop those relations. And hopefully your lieutenant governor will facilitate those relationships.
Yes, and I concur with Joey for sure. Okay. I guess I see one question. How was your day, Eric? It was mighty fine. Thank you for asking it. So I got, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Joey.
We have a question from Selma asking us to go over do's in quarantine. So Eric, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So I would just type into the chat if there's more to that question, but dues over quarantine. So I think there's important news that you should all know is that dues, early bird dues have been pushed back to December 1st, and regular dues, those have been pushed back to February 1st. Now, if I were to give you an answer onto how to pay dues, that really comes down to your district, your school district, and what they prefer. There's some options, there's your virtual school store, should you have one. There's PayPal. One of my favorite suggestions is using your Kiwanis Club as a means of doing so. Maybe they can help you cover the dues. You funnel your money over to them and they do that, or they just cover your dues out of kind generosity. And the next thing is you could always pay by mailing in dues or sending checks to the schools. So there's a lot of things. It really requires your club to be creative. Thank you, Selma, for that question.
And just adding a
yes.
little bit on to the end of that, typically your district has like your own set of dues along with the international dues. As a club, make sure you just make the required dues the absolute minimum, just to like combat any like issues that anyone might be having with financially in their home. So making your dues the absolute minimum amount is another tip that you can utilize.
Yeah, Joey, here's a good question. Since everything's on the calls, I don't know if basically tips on member retainment.
Eric,
basically, they're asking for tips on member retainment. What's your major tip, I guess?
Yeah, a lot of this we did like sort of touch on in the presentation, but I think the biggest thing with member retainment is like the reflection aspect after every single meeting. Something that our Florida district does is called glows and grows. And after every service event, after every meeting, we think about glows. What do we want to highlight from the event? What went really well? What helped keep members engaged? Let's keep doing that for the future. But then we also have to think about grows. What maybe didn't go as well, but how can we grow from those negatives and make it into something good? And by reflecting on every single service project and event, you can really help make sure you have that member retainment, because you want to make sure that your meetings are interesting to your members. So whether that be doing more bonding activities, because that's what works best for your club, or doing more service projects that are in topics that your members are passionate about, like environmentalism. Having that reflection aspect after every event is really important. So, okay.
Why don't you find a question for me?
Mm-hmm. Go back and forth, like asking questions. So
yeah, to this Jig, have your gov come. I mean, I'm delighted you extended an invitation, but I think it's appropriate to have your district governor come.
Kyle asked the question, how can we start working on service projects during this time?
Sure. Kyle, I think it's much easier to work on service projects nowadays because you can do it virtually. There are so many things that you all can do. You can make masks, you can set up a food drive. It really comes down to your officer team or the committee that's been assigned to this task. But if you want to do an in-person thing, make sure you're looking at your county and state and federal government restrictions. See what, the best tip I have is you need to be safe, wear a mask, social distance. How can you do the best thing to keep yourself and your members safe? but it doesn't mean that service has to stop. You just need to be more creative as how you can get service to continue. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Darn. Okay. Give me a second, Joey. Why don't you pick a question, Joey? My chat thing's lagged.
Yeah, because you are lagging a little bit, but while you're trying to pull up your chat, there's actually a question specific to the 12-hour fundraiser that I mentioned earlier. The Instagram handle is @FLKeyClub. I'll type it in the chat. But basically, we're having our board members go on every single hour and do activities from pumpkin carving to doing dares to, I think, like someone's doing like a mukbang or something. We're just doing like random things to fundraise money for Eliminate. It's super fun. So, after the Global Engagement Rally, definitely hop on. But it's @FLKeyClub.
Let me answer a question. Madeline asks, are there any fundraisers that we can involve the public in? To all fundraisers that you do virtually can get your community involved. All it takes is sending them a link or sending them a QR code, but also with a thorough explanation of what you all plan to do. Just what it really comes down to is, are you going to reach out to them? Are you going to send that email? That is what you can do. And for the trick or treat for UNICEF virtual boxes, you can definitely do that. Good. Stephen, I hope you can get a copy of these slides. We'll send them over to where it needs to be, and hopefully they distribute it. Oh, good. Yeah, Joey, I can't see any of the chat questions. You might want to take them on.
Yeah, I'll ask them. And then we can take turns answering them. Does that sound good? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Ian.
You act as the moderator.
Okay. Hopefully I'm not the only one who's experiencing like lag. But
am I lagging?
A little bit. We're like overlapping each other, at least from my end, but it's okay.
Oh, dang. Okay, y'all. Don't press on the letters of support. Yeah, I'm getting them emails. I know I need to change the request for access. Whoops. All right, Joey, you may begin with the questions.
I'll answer another question. This is not super like quarantine related, but Ian from CNH asks, how does one campaign and run for an office greater position in Key Club? Okay, so that's definitely specific to your district. I know CNH is like a really big district, so reach out to your district officers about it and your lieutenant governor, and they can really run through the specifics of like how to run for higher office within your district. So yeah, and another question that Ian asks is, you both are successful and inspiring Key Clubbers, so what would you say led you to your current station in life? Eric, do you want to take that one first?
Sure. I'll tell you, folks, my Key Club career has been riddled with failures, and it really defines resilience. Be perseverant, okay? I applied to be a lieutenant governor twice. Did I get it? No. But last year I was a club district bulletin editor, and now I'm the district governor. It really shows you that Key Club has a lot of opportunities that are available to you. It just, what it really boils down to is, how communicative are you? How, are you exploring for those opportunities? Are you persevering for those opportunities? That is what it really comes down to. Ask questions, okay? When the lieutenant governor says, do you have any questions? Ask those questions. Be informed so that you know what's ahead of you should you be an underclassman. For you seniors, I'm sorry, it's the end of the block.
Yeah. I would say for me, what led me to my current position and everything, it wasn't, I don't know, I felt like everything a little bit, like, sounds cheesy, but like sort of like fell into place. Like when I joined Key Club my freshman year, I had no intention of going anywhere on the district level. I remember like after freshman year, I wanted to get a class director position, but in my club, we have like drop down positions where you can drop down like 5 positions before like you need to stop running. So I ran for treasurer, which was like the perfect amount of drop downs to class director. And I somehow got it, and like one position led to another. And a lot of it was driven by like the community and the people that I met in Key Club that kept on saying, you can do this, like run for lieutenant governor, run for governor, like you got this. And I don't know, I would say the people really helped me get to where I am. And also everything just sort of like fall into place. So yeah.
Like gravity in books, you drop a book, it's gonna fall on the floor.
Yep.
Any other questions, y'all?
What is the best way to get more members involved, meaning to make sure we have more members to pay their dues? So I guess maybe like incentives for paying dues? Is that what that question is asking? It's a hard one. I'm gonna pass that one to you, Eric. Unless you're frozen. Is Eric
Well, oh, am I good?
Oh no.
Oh,
Am I freezing?
I'm in the chat. I think I'm doing pretty good.
Wait, can someone like from, I don't know if like everyone,
Hello?
it is lagging.
You're not freezing. Confirm.
Oh wait, it's
Oh,
River says
good.
Eric is watching. Oh no. Was he lagged out? Oh no, he's still here. Eric, I see you. What happened?
yeah. Well, my internet said let me call it quits. So
Okay, I can actually
that's
present.
too funny. Okay.
I can present my screen.
No, well, are you sure? I have it up. That's
Okay.
too funny. Okay, y'all. Internet quality
Sorry.
is key. Keep that in
This is an
mind.
example of like
Okay.
a difficulty you might face with doing Key Club in quarantine, but it's okay. We can get through it. It's fine.
Paige, I will not take that disrespect.
Okay.
Okay, what was the question? Okay, incentives for dues. Why folks should pay dues, right? Yeah, that's definitely a great question. I think that's why clubs are not finding that motivation. What's the point? Well, I'll tell you. Here's the point. Our director, Greg Sowers, did a great article as to why. Events like these, the Summer Leadership Conference, the Global Engagement Rally, and other district events are why you should pay dues, because that is what keeps our districts continuing. That's what keeps international going on. Also, a lot of great opportunities for your members in terms of positions. I know for Joey and myself, our districts are sponsoring. Those are some great things that we're doing. Joey, you want to add to that? I think we gotta wrap up in a bit.
Yeah, I think we should end off with like one more question, and I really like this one that Owen asks, and then we can move on to our last slide. But Owen asks, as a freshman, how can I specifically make my first year in Key Club the best possible? I love that question, and I also love the fact that you're a freshman coming on to a Key Club International Global Engagement Rally, and I think that is like probably one of the first steps, like just engaging yourself in the plethora of leadership opportunities that are available in Key Club is how you make the most of it. And despite being in a virtual environment and you're still engaging, I think that says a lot to your character and like your motivation to get involved. So I definitely say seek out every opportunity to get engaged, whether it's on the club level, whether it's on the district level, whether it's on the international level. Now that we're virtual, there are definitely a lot of online opportunities out there. So keep on engaging. So let's move on to the last slide.
Next. Okay. All righty. Oh, stop giving you a plug in the chat, y'all. Come on. Okay.
Well,
all right, Joey.
We're going to plug ourselves now. So thank you all so much for attending our COVID-19 Toolkit workshop at this Key Club Global Engagement Rally. Like we mentioned, like we covered a lot during this entire presentation. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram. My Instagram is at Joey Chenar. Go follow me on there and reach out. But Eric, your time to plug.
Well, thank you. I'd love to answer your questions. I always love meeting new Key Clubbers, but thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing your commitment to Key Club, because in times of adversity, service doesn't end. People are still reliant on the work of the community, and you all are doing a great thing by continuing that. Thank you for all the wonderful comments in the chat. Thank you. I'm glad you all enjoyed the presentation. Thank you, Ian. Ian's my favorite. No favoritism here, but that's all. So make sure y'all go to your emails and go to the next sessions at 3 o'clock. You can check them at your emails with 3 Eastern, click on them, join them. I can tell you that those workshops are just going to be as great as ours, maybe greater, but I doubt it because we did the best.
I have one last thing in terms of communication to mention. If you need to reach anyone on the international level, please email our wonderful Greg Stowers. I'm going to drop, there's a lot of people typing in the chat, but I'm going to drop his email in there. And if you ever have any international specific questions that us district governors for our own specific regions can't answer, email him there and he will get to that.
Thank you, Joey and Eric. And again, the next sessions will begin at 3 o'clock. I had a great time listening to you all. I love what you all put together. Again, thanks for all your service.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, folks. It was a pleasure, must I say.
Bye. Thank you.